Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another round of Bases Picks. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. I do apologize, it's a bit later than usual. It's just been one of those days. I've barely wanted to do anything, but I had to get this one out. Also, just before I start, because it's going to be a very short one, probably less than 10 minutes. But I know sometimes I get a couple comments regarding these quote-unquote little bubbles that come up when I'm recording. October Red calls them spirit bubbles. I won't say why, just in case anyone gets a little bit triggered. But all it is, there's like these little tiny grains of dust. The camera on the back of my phone, obviously very bright, and I can literally see them going towards the camera light. If I turn that camera light off, it would stop, but then obviously the image wouldn't be as clear. So try and bear with it. I know it can be a bit annoying. I've seen it a couple of times. I can see some of them like in and around the camera, like moving into frame now. But yeah, that's literally all it is. It's tiny specks of dust just kind of floating around the brightness of the camera. With that being said, let's get to the picks. There's only one card on this weekend. It's the Matchroom card on the Zone, which is headlined by Richardson Hitchins against Gustavo Lemos. So we'll go from we'll go on the main card. I'm gonna forego the Mark Castro fight because I've not seen his opponent fight, so no point in me really going into that. I'm assuming it should be another Castro win, maybe a decision, who knows. But let's look at Sky Nicholson versus Sarah Mahfood from first off. Now, everyone knows that I think that Sky Nicholson has been incredibly boring, especially after her third fight. The first two, I was impressed of, and I felt like a lot of her skills were coming together in terms of being able to sit down on the punches. She was dropping the opponents, but everything was just very samey. At least some of the other people who were pure boxers were doing certain things with panache and with style. Arguably the best fight that she actually had was the one against Tania Alvarez, when the girl basically didn't look like she knew what she was doing in a boxing ring, but she just came forward aggressive and made Sky have to work after like the fourth round, and it just ended up being a lot more of a controlled fight. But with this opponent, Sarah Mahfood usually is an aggressive opponent. Now, she spent a lot of the time in the Amanda Serrano fight on the back foot, trying to box and move. She definitely won't do that with Sky Nicholson, because she probably doesn't believe Sky Nicholson hits as hard. Now, Sky did get a stoppage in her last fight, to her credit, 9-0 with 1 KO. But you kind of look at the stoppage, and to be totally honest, Lucy Wildheart, she could have carried on. Yeah, she had a bit of a cut, but outside of that, it was probably just the ref deciding maybe she'd taken one punch too many, but she was fine. So yeah, we look at that fight. Ultimately, this is going to be about if Sarah Mahfood can become a lot more of an aggressive, if she can become a pressure fighter in this fight, she makes it a very interesting fight. If she just tries to sort of like box, counter, and tries to be more of a boxer puncher that she usually is, Sky Nicholson will eat her up, because she hasn't necessarily got that much height difference on her, but she's got the range, and from that southpaw stance, she definitely knows how to use it in a very awkward way. Now, she does have a tendency to sort of pivot when she's trying to throw her shots. Normally when she's throwing the backhand, she has this way of like pivoting out, but she normally does it with her hands down. If Sarah Mahfood can time her on the entry when she's coming in and pivoting out with a left hook, she can catch her and have success. But I do expect that this will be more of a boxing match than it will be a fight, and that is pretty much Sky Nicholson's wheelhouse. Maybe she'll sit down on her shots a bit more now that she's not going to Paris for the Olympics. So hopefully this could herald sort of the transition from that very boring outside fighting style that she has been having to maybe just being a bit more aggressive and trying to look for those KOs. I do believe that Sky Nicholson will win purely because I think that she will keep distance a lot better from Sarah Mahfoud, especially than some of Sarah's other opponents have. But yeah, I do think Sky will win. This one will go the distance because Sarah Mahfoud is not crude and she's not going to basically be over. She's not going to get overawed. I don't think Sky's got the punch power to really trouble her. So yeah, I'm going to go Sky Nicholson decision on that one. Then you've got Galauya fight against Augustin Gato, I think his name is. I think he's 21-1. I've not seen any of his fights, but I do know he's Argentinian, as a lot of those smaller weight classes will be Argentinian, Nicaraguan, Mexican, Japanese, etc. So in this one, I'm pretty much certain that this will be a battle whereby if it doesn't, it will probably go the distance, or it will go very late, because Argentinians are usually very hard-headed, very hard to knock them out to the head, but it is possible to normally hit them with a body shot that hurts. Galauya Fire will probably be using his arms like he usually does, pushing off with the forearms, pushing off with the shoulders, trying to throw combinations off of them, trying to pivot around the target. He's fairly good at doing a lot of that. One thing that he normally then struggles with is keeping his arms in a defensive position for those counters. I still think that he was, in my personal opinion, I feel as if his last opponent actually got that fight for me. I felt he was doing a lot better than other people gave him credit for. But yeah, in my opinion, he's got a lot to work on, but he's been fast tracked to a point where there's kind of no going back. And I do believe that probably after this fight, it's world titles. I mean, look, the Santa Moro fight, as I said, I feel like he didn't, to me personally, I scored it for him, or I scored it a draw. It was one or the other. But this fight, I'm expecting the same thing. I'm expecting it to be a similar situation. Like I said, I expect it to go late, but it's either going to be a late stoppage by Galauya fight, or it will be a points decision, but he's still on that trajectory. And yeah, whether it will be the next fight or the fight after that, but title shots kind of reigning then and there. Moving on to the co-main event, Diego Pacheco versus Sean McColeman, I believe his name is. Now again, McColeman, I've seen once on the OTX boxing series that DAZN have, so I kind of know his stature. He's a pretty decent boxer. One thing he's not is super powerful. Like, he's 15-0, I think, with about 7 KOs. And one of the issues I can see, not even the issue, but one of the things here, if this goes points, which I don't expect it to, but he doesn't often tie his hair back or like sort of tape it up. Obviously he's got the big sort of dreads, or not huge, but he's got dreads at the back. They're normally a bit free flowing, so anytime he gets hit, anytime he moves in an exaggerated motion, you're gonna see that, and that's gonna register more that those shots are either landing or looking like they're landing than the other way around when it comes to Diego Pacheco. However, that being said, looking at both of their styles, he's essentially gonna try and ambush from the outside, get in, do a quick bit of work and get back out, and he's gonna sort of try and raid the pocket in that sense. Diego Pacheco, I believe, will keep main pressure on Sean. He will basically try to stay close enough to him whereby he's always going to be making him work. So whether he's going to have to keep his hands up, whether he's going to have to let his hands go to keep Diego off him, I think Diego's going to just sort of stay in range for the most part. He will take some shots. He probably will take more than he should, but he will still be defensible enough that he will, you know, he won't take anything super clean. He won't really have any huge issues, in my opinion, and he'll just sort of bust up McColeman round after round. And I do think that he's probably going to get a stoppage around about the 6th or 7th round. I think it's a 10 rounder, so yeah, think about round 6 or 7. I can see him really sort of opening up and forcing the referee to stop the fight. Moving on to the main event, Richardson Hitchins versus Gustavo Lemos. Gustavo hits hard, but he's not like a one-punch KO merchant. So even if he does hit and maybe wobble Richardson Hitchins, it's not going to be one of those ones where he takes his legs out from under him with one shot and then like fight's over. It will sort of be, you know, he'll wobble him and then Hitchins will do what he needs to do to survive that. He'll understand it, he'll download it, and he'll stop that from happening again. Now he's got, again, natural height and reach advantages. Lemos is going to have to try and get through that jab, which is not going to be an easy task. I mean, Richardson Hitchins has got a phenomenal jab. It's one of the most technically accurate weapons in boxing today. Like, I'm not, his whole game, like, he's got good fundamentals all around, and, you know, great crazy speed as well, athleticism, but technically his jab is superb and his defense is on point. So Lemos is going to have very limited opportunities to actually get through that guard. I can see him basically trying to rush the pocket several times. He may get through once or twice, just a bit the same way that Jose Cepeda did, but I believe, just like Jose Cepeda, he's not an educated enough fighter to be able to get in, stay in, and stay on Richardson Hitchins' chest. And because of that, I do think he's going to get picked apart with the jab, both to the body, to the head. But Richardson, I do believe, because of what's happened in a couple of his last fights, whereby, you know, he has gone the distance, he's made it look effortless, but it's been a bit cumbersome or boring to the people, especially coming up to a potential Subriel Matias fight or like a championship fight. He's got to make a statement for his name to kind of be out there. So I think this is going to play out a bit more like the Bowser fight that he had, the fight with John Bowser, I believe his name is. And I believe he's going to put a bit more spite in those shots after about round 4, round 5. And I do see a situation here, I think it's a 12 rounder because it is a final eliminator. So yeah, I think sort of about round sort of 4 or 5 is when he'll start putting a bit more mustard behind the shots. I think he'll start busting up Lemos up around about round 8. And then I think he does get the referee stoppage probably between rounds 9 to 10. So that's my prediction. I'm going to go, yeah, rounds 9 to 10 for this fight for Richardson Hitchins. I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think down below. Like I said, very short one, but like, subscribe and share as always, and I will catch you on the next video, which will possibly be tomorrow. But until then, it's Basis Picks locked.